Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Julie Livingston here for the Quorum Initiative for another edition of Quorum Live, our semi monthly series where we have conversations with people who are in the Quorum network and also friends of the Quorum Initiative. If you're not familiar with Quorum, let me tell you that it's an organization based in New York City. We have chapters in St. Joseph's, Missouri, Washington, D.C., and London in the United Kingdom. And when we are women who are looking to create workplace change around the globe, create more of a direct path to leadership for women so that they can climb the ladder and be more successful, increase female representation on boards of directors, and increase investment in women owned and led companies. This has been a series of three Quorum Lives that we've done with OM Health. And I'm really delighted to welcome back Anca Griffiths today. She is the co-founder and CEO of OM, a precision health company where the best minds in health come together to offer support to corporates and individuals. After working alongside renowned health professionals and speaking with women from around the world, Anca was shocked to discover the extent to which women are the biggest victims in the current medical and wellness system. To address these significant hurdles, she teamed up with Dr. Marjorie Jenkins and Dr. Allison McGregor to write the groundbreaking book. And here's a copy of it. I'll be showing it later in the broadcast as well. And it's called Why Women Aren't Winning at Health But Can. Drawing on their expertise and insights, this work provides a powerful foundation for women to achieve optimal health and wellness. And with contributions from recognized global health experts, this book has the potential to transform the way women and healthcare professionals approach health and empower women everywhere to thrive. Because when women are well, everybody thrives. We know that, right, Anka?
That's right. That's right.
So today we're going to talk about how internalized beliefs can how we can overcome internalized beliefs about women's health. And this is a topic that really resonated with me, um, because I think so many of us come to where as we age we have more questions about our own health, but sometimes we're either afraid to ask those questions, we feel embarrassed or silly or stupid or uninformed. Um, and so we kind of push that to the wayside. I know when I was a young woman, my mother didn't really want to talk about sex or things like that, and so she just told me to go
Mhm.
to my internist and ask him. Well, that was a very uncomfortable thing. I didn't really know what I was asking about specifically, and it just turned into this whole thing. So, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's happened to. So,
Yeah.
why do you think women have been called the weaker sex throughout time?
Wow, that's a loaded question to start with. um, I don't know why we've been called the weaker sex, but we have, and that's a fact, right? And I think we need to really start with this, with that understanding of whether in the West or in the East, 100 years ago, 500 years ago, or during Greek times, Greek uh, when the Greek civilization was in power, women were looked at as the weaker sex. And women's health was always something that was not understood, messy, or taboo, right? So it's important to acknowledge that, because as we move forward, for us to truly care for our bodies means that we accept our bodies for what they do, and how they evolve throughout our lives. And it's very difficult to do that when, can you think of any word that's associated with female health that doesn't have an only negative connotation to it? So let's think about it, right? Menstrual cycle. When you think of the menstrual cycle, there's not one positive thing that you can think about. It's like, oh, mood swings, or she's hormonal, or she's tired, or oh, it's PMS, right? That's all we associate with it. There's no positives that come with it. Going forward, a postpartum. postpartum is, oh, baby brain. Oh, my, I need to get my body back. Oh, I need to get back to who I was before. Let's
Right.
not even
And
get
then
into
and the minute
menopause.
after you give birth too.
And the minute after you give birth, right? And then menopause, perimenopause, right? What positive thing can we associate with that? What positive thing do we associate with something like hormones, for example? When you think hormones, you think women are hormonal, you think women are unstable, you think, unhinged, and so much more going from there. And it's important to know that because we have those negative associations and because we fought so hard to be equal and be treated equal, when we associate all those things with negativity, we don't want to be linked to them, right? We don't want to be the woman who's, taking care of her menstrual cycle or healing her body in postpartum or, going through menopause in a way where she's assuming, that time in her life, right? We always like, oh, I'm not in menopause, thank God. Well, if you think that you're in your 40s and you're going through perimenopause, and if you switch the way you think about your health in perimenopause as an opportunity to set in place a foundation that will support you for the other half of your life, it's a completely different way to look at it. You know
Totally.
what I mean? Versus, oh my God, let me try to do what I was doing in my 20s because I don't want to be in menopause, So I think this, and this is, OM, we predominantly work with corporates. And we started with women's health specific. Now we're a precision care platform. But I thought, looking at the numbers, oh my God, when you look at the numbers for women's health, they just jump off the page, in terms of, as we said in the first two sessions, the gender gap, the opportunities to support women's bodies throughout their career, whether it's they're going through a fertility journey or through menopause or just through anything really. And we had, already had built this great community of health experts and tools. And I thought, great, I'm going to go and I'm going to, sell this. And women are going to, especially now, the new teams that are being put in place to support women to thrive in the workplace. And, they're going to be all over it, right? And what I experienced was meeting with these teams. It was the men that were a lot more accepting the women to bring these on board, because they say things like, oh yeah, no, I think this is a very important subject for us to have and to support women with it. Clearly the numbers show that it's important. And actually, looking in my own personal journey, my mother, my wife, blah blah, it would have been great if she had these tools. When I spoke with women, I saw that there was almost like this shield that they put up the minute I started saying women's health platform, women's health support. And I thought, what's happening, right? Like, why am I encountering this when their roles
Yeah.
are to support women internally? But then I thought, because I worked in the corporate environment for 14 years, if somebody would have come to me when I was working at Richemont and would have said, oh, Anca, I have this great product for you and it's going to help you with your female health and all your specific needs because you're a woman, I would have said, like, no thanks, I'm good. Like, I don't need extra support just because I'm a woman. And I think this is, it's important for us to understand these almost like these subconscious barriers that we have, because we have them, because we're fighting against so much stigma that has been built up over time. But unfortunately, when we're fighting against it, we're not supporting our bodies as they need it, right? So
Yeah.
again, I would have said, like, no, I'm good. I don't need extra support for my weak female emotional body. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, these are subtleties, right?
yes,
These phrases are just subtleties that have been embedded in our
yeah,
the narrative that we've been, exposed to since we were
yes,
born. Um,
exactly.
and you just kind of adapt them and you kind of believe them.
There's sexual health expert who says women's rights movement have done a lot to bring women in the workforce and um, for us to rise up and be equal in society. But a lot of that women's emancipation has become women's masculinization. And what she means by that is that with us entering the workforce, right, and saying like, look, I need to be paid equal, treated equally, have the same opportunities to progress, we've completely turned away from anything that is feminine, because again, anything that's feminine is considered negative, right? So that's what we turn towards very masculine values, which don't fit with our physicality. And the interesting thing, after putting together a platform with over 150 experts, is there is so much positive as well that comes with our female, our physical side that's female. Even if you look at something like a menstrual cycle, which now we're starting to kind of understand a bit better how our hormones ebb and flow during the month. But again, the thing that we know the most is like, oh, PMS, and what's happening around that, and you're emotional and you're tired and blah blah blah. But as your hormones shift during the month, there's a time when, because of how the estrogen and progesterone moves, we're a lot more creative. There's a time of the month where we understand human emotion a lot better. There's a time of the month where we're a lot more analytical. So there's positives to everything that we're experiencing physically. We just don't know about them or value them. And when we don't know about them or value them, we don't want to support them as well.
So how do we break through all of this stuff that's been put upon us, us women around the world? How do we break through? I mean, one of the things I love about the book, and I was reading it earlier today again, is how the female physicians who you co-wrote the book with, Dr. Jenkins and Dr. McGregor, are such good listeners to their female patients, and we often don't experience that kind of comforting bedside manner with our physicians. Perhaps that's one thing. Look for a physician who's really going to listen to you, whether they're male or female doesn't matter, but somebody who's really going to listen.
100%, Julie.
So that you don't feel like you're losing your mind.
Yeah, exactly. And I think finding your partners in health is the building block to all of this, right? And Dr. Marjorie Jenkins talks about it very clearly in the book. And she says, look, there's this pyramid that you can look at, the pyramid of a good relationship between you and your healthcare provider. And that could be your doctor, it could be your physical therapist, it could be your personal trainer.
Yeah.
Right. But, and you kind of go through it. And her point is like, look, it's so important that you have the best partners in health. And if one of them is not working out for you because they're undermining you, because they're not listening to you, because or because simply they're not getting results, right? Like sometimes we have great doctors that we go to for 3 years in a row and we're still suffering through the same things. It's time to change, because like she's saying, if we go to a hairdresser and we get a bad haircut, we're not going to go there the next 6 times. If we take our car to the mechanic and he doesn't fix it once, he doesn't fix it twice, we're not going to keep on going there. So we should take a similar approach with our healthcare providers. What I can tell you is, yes, it is difficult to find them, but they are out there. And when you have that relationship, almost everything shifts, because you're empowered about your health in a very different way.
Yeah, I mean, I think also physicians who will make the time for you. I know here in the United States, this is a big issue with insurance companies weighing so much control over the healthcare system, and how doctors relate to us. I had a physician, my general practitioner, who I trust a lot, and he said to me, the insurance company has told me that I can only spend this amount of time per patient, but I'm not listening to them, because I know that I know the time that I need for each patient is going to vary, and I know this is what you need. I think that's also really important, so that you don't want to feel rushed by a particular doctor. You want to feel like they're making time for you.
I think it comes in, different people need different things. And I think you need to find your partner in health that works well for you. And I remember I had this doctor in France, and he was an incredible GP. And he said, look, I looked at you from the minute that you walked through that door, because looking at you and how you walk over towards my desk, I know that if there's an imbalance, or like your back is not in the right way, you're going to get headaches. And if you tell me about headaches, then I can know where that comes from. And he's like, anybody can look at test results, right? I look at the person in front of me. And he was somebody like that. So I think, trying to find these healthcare providers that give what you need and support you in your health is essential. Now, as we explain in the first part of the book, unfortunately, to this day, and this is why our other co-author, Dr. Alison McGregor, is actively working to change the curriculum in medical schools. But to this day, most female health matters are still not integrated into medical books, right? So they're still studying the male body and applying it across the board. Things are changing, but they're not changing very fast. And until we get there, we don't want to wait another, 10 years for things to shift in the right direction. But you need to understand that, because you also need to understand that if when you're frustrated, perhaps it's not their fault. Perhaps it's just the system that they're in. But there are always today resources out there for women to tap into. You just need to find them. And I say, when it comes to your health, there's another part of the book where we talk about, this issue of forevering. So basically, I pee my pants a little when I laugh. That's just how it is, mom problems. No, that's not how it is. Pelvic floor is highly treatable. You need to talk to your healthcare provider. If they are ignoring it or just undermining it, you need to find somebody else. If you finally go to a pelvic floor therapist and they're not somebody that's finding solutions for you, you need to find another one. And that's why we work with the experts that we do. So basically, women can come in on the OM Health Hub and learn about the different parts of their body and the support that they need to ask for, and look for, and the tools that are available for them. Because, when you look at something like, it might sound trivial, although it's not, because it's a huge impact on lifestyle. Incontinence. Incontinence is one of the top 3 reasons that women get put in not retirement homes. What do you call that? Senior homes.
Nursing homes.
Nursing
Or assisted
homes.
living, right?
Assisted living. One of the top 3 reasons is that, right? So something that you should have dealt with when it started, that was highly treatable, was left over time. You're purchasing things like adult diapers that you don't need to invest all that money in, when you could have had 4 pelvic floor therapies that were adapted to you, strengthen that muscle in the appropriate way, and and put that in your health for the rest of your life. So the things that we accept as this is just how it is, it's a reality of my female body, we shouldn't. Because something that really, really surprised me when I was working with the health experts, and there's the story in the book where I'm talking to a traditional Chinese doctor, and we were talking about postpartum and how this is such a hard process. And I said, well, it's hard to know where it's hard or it's almost a complication, because our female bodies, we always have some kind of pain. And she looked at me like, what do you mean the female body has pain? And she's from Hong Kong. And I said, well, not pain, but like menstrual pain, right? Some women have pain. And she got very concerned. She's like, do you have problems with your menstrual cycle? I'm like, no, I don't, but others do, right? Like, it's just how it is. And she's like, but of course it's not. Like, why would you think it's normal to have,
Right,
pain
right,
with your
exactly.
menstrual cycle? And I said, a little bit. And she said, well, no, not even a little, because she said, to me, the menstrual cycle is a report card on your health. And I talked to my patients about that, in terms of your flow, in terms of your mental health, in terms of, how, how many days in between, and all of that. If there's an imbalance there, we need to deal with it right away before it cascades into something else. And when she said that, I thought, well, why is it that we accept that as pain? Because, endometriosis takes over 9 years to diagnose, because it's just menstrual pain. And because women go to tens of doctors over those 9 years to try to diagnose it, and they just get sent home with Tylenol, like, oh, it's just menstrual pain, right? Whereas if we never accepted menstrual pain as a reality of the female body, and we would have try to find a solution and not lived 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 9 years, Julie, of debilitating pain
I
that
cannot
women go
imagine.
through
Yeah.
until they get diagnosed, right? PCOS is a condition that affects 1 in 7 women, but 70% of it is undiagnosed because the conditions are just like, oh, it's just how it is, it's with female bodies. And it's like, no, it's not how it is. And I think this is another, start going back to the point that we started with, internalized beliefs that we have. One is that the female body comes with pain, and it doesn't. Our bodies ebbs and flow. We go through very huge shifts if we
Right.
decide to have babies. Perimenopause and menopause is a huge shift that requires support in an adapted way. But by no means, at no point should we say like, oh, this is how it is because, I'm a woman and
Or I'm this particular age or whatever.
or I'm this particular age, or no, absolutely not, right? It's never going to be perfect, but letting something, you let go, you let something go and it cascades into something else. Your body is trying to send you a signal that something's not going well.
Yeah, no, I hear this from my friends all the time. Oh, I feel this way and that way, but I'm not going to bother dealing with it. I just don't have the time. And it's just, this just happens to women.
It just happens to women. It doesn't. And there are and our first talk, we talked about the huge gap for health for women's health. But there are so many tools for women to support their health. Unfortunately, they are not the ones that are the most marketed to us, right? We get marketed powders and vitamins and whatever. We don't get, oh, you should see your pelvic floor therapist. Oh, you should, heal your gut. So there are so many tools that we could tap into. And when we deal with it in the short term, we save so much money if it's about money, even in the long term. And our health, doesn't.
And you'll feel better, right?
You'll feel better. And here's the thing, because because there's so much, obviously, and it's fine, investment in the physical side, how we look, how, our weight. When you feel good, you're going to look great. When your sleep health is good, your skin's going to look great. It's all so connected. And doing an intense crash diet to lose weight that harms your body, that's not sustainable in the long term. It's not good in the short term. It's not good in the long term. It just gives that person that was selling you the diet, money, but that's it. It doesn't do anything for your health. When you're feeling great, internally, you just look so much better externally as well.
So let
for
me
all
ask
the
you,
reasons.
let me ask you, we have all of these external factors, societal issues coming at us. How do we tamp down those, those negative factors, those negative thoughts? And how do we break those thought patterns and change our mindset about women's health? How do we do that?
Look, so first, I think everything shifts when you understand your body. And that's what we do. So if you go to OM Health Hub, we have a women's health section and we have it dissected. Your bone health, your pelvic floor health, your skin health, your, it's stress, gut health, all of this. So it's kind of like dissected by subject. When you understand that subject, you look at your body in a different way. When you see all that your body does during your lifespan to keep you healthy, to do what it needs to do, it's so impressive. It almost becomes like you want to support your body to be healthy, right? When you understand a subject, and it all works together, it's great like that. When you understand what you need to do for bone health, it's quite similar to heart health, it's quite similar to brain health. They all work together, right? When you know that, that's a really great first step, right? So you're empowered, you understand how your body works. If you have something like pelvic floor incontinence, instead of going on Goop and buying a yoni egg to insert it inside and
Oh my God.
Hey, it's sold thousands of them, right? Downloading an app to do Kegel exercises or any of those things, what's happening with your pelvic floor, how it works, when there are times that they need support, and who you can turn to when what tools there are for support. Then with that, you are empowered to know what you want to do, right? My GP is not really listening to me on this matter. I'm going to try to find somebody else that is, and I'm going to get the right support for it. So I would say number one is understanding your body. Number two is, I would say, this belief that we have of, oh, it's just the female body, or it's just, this is how it is. We have such, as women, it almost seems selfish if we put ourselves first, right? And we put everybody before: family, career, to-do list, all of that before we kind of look at what we need. But when we get to a place where our cup is empty, we can't help anybody, right? And we're not the best that we can be
Right.
for others. So we need to take us from being down here to putting it really high on the priority list. And then the last thing I would say is, you don't need to completely rehaul your whole life. Start with small changes that you can do. And you'll see that when you start the snowball, you do one thing, you feel great about that, you keep going with that one. I want to
I
add
love
something
that.
else. You keep going with those two, but then it becomes really great. So you add something else. And the great thing is that whether you talk to a cardiologist from, Texas, or a brain health expert from Melbourne, they will tell you these small changes make the biggest difference to your health. And the other thing that they will tell you is, don't worry about the must do, diet, or the must do exercise, or the must. Start with what you like. How do you like to move? Do you want to walk?
Great.
Cool walk. Do you want to hike? Do you want to swim? Do you want to do? It doesn't matter. It really adds up to great things. And then the fun thing about doing something that you love, whether it's nutrition or exercise or mindfulness, you don't have to meditate. There's so many other mindfulness techniques that you can do, is you'll get like this positive reaction from it. And again, you'll want to add. And then you're just on this incredibly positive trend of adding, right? And it's great.
I
Yeah.
love
So
that, Anca. I think what you're saying is first get educated. So dive in and kind of learn more about your body and the things that make it unique. And then
yeah.
the other thing is don't get stuck, right? So don't get stuck. If you start something and you feel like you've gone down the rabbit hole, kind of take micro steps to get yourself to a better place. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And then lastly, because today we are, exposed to social media and, all of that, it can be, and when we try to improve our lives, we start again going down this rabbit hole of, we look at one social media post, another one will get recommended in the same way, and another one. And because I'm in the health field, my whole feed is basically like health stuff. And it is just overwhelming. The amount of information, the amount of misinformation, the amount of,
Yeah.
like, people trying to take advantage, especially of women. We are 80% of consumers, so we are their consumers. And they try to sound so scientific and believable, and they play to our pain points. But I can tell you, just look at that with a sense of curiosity, and kind of figure out if there's a vested interest behind it, then perhaps it's in their interest versus yours. And what I do for myself, I really kind of take myself off of social media from time to time. Like when I fall down that rabbit hole and there's like, it's just almost too much. Like, okay, I'm just going to delete this for a while because I can't see or hear any more of this. It's a lot of stuff coming at us, right? And health should not be that complicated. It
No.
really is not. So if you are spiraling down this, and it could lead to the way you view your body's issue with the way you view your body's issue with the way you approach nutrition, it could be an information overload. So attention to this as well as women.
Could not agree with you more. I think for me, sometimes it's just sitting down and making my appointments so that
Yeah.
I have them, and then dealing with, okay, what do I want to ask that particular doctor? What do I want to ask this one? What are some of the concerns I've been having during the year?
I think that's amazing to do that. There's also, with your doctors, I think it's important to understand what tests we need to do as women. And again, you can go too far in the other direction and do too much testing, but there is an appropriate level of testing that you can do. whether it's a DEXA scan for your bones as women, so we understand where we are with our bone health, what we need to put in place so we don't get to, oh, I have a fracture, I have osteoporosis. It's so preventable. You just need to deal with it in time.
Yeah.
And even something like, vitamin panel, vitamin and mineral panel, and your, other blood work. You look at, how is your cholesterol doing? How are your vitamins coming in? Where are your minerals? And with that, and with your healthcare provider, you can see, well, first you take, you need to understand that nothing is as good as whole foods to, heal and get all of the nutrients that you need, but you might need supplements for bone health, or because you don't eat dairy, or because, and then you customize your healthcare with those informed results that you have, right? What is my DEXA scan because I did my bone density? How can I strengthen my bones? You can at any age strengthen your bones, and us as women, because we have lower testosterone and because our bones are thinner, we are 80% of the population that gets osteoporosis. And unfortunately, it doesn't get diagnosed until we have a break. But if you were going to do your DEXA scan at menopause, you see where you are. You understand that with lifestyle changes, you can strengthen your bones again and keep your bones strong. If you're at a point where you need medications, there are medications that can help you with that. And so you don't get to there and, only realize it when you have a fracture. The same thing with, with vitamins, do you need a vitamin D3 or vitamin D because it's super important for health and maybe you don't get enough sunshine? All of that you can see in the results.
Well, Anca, this has been a great conversation, as per usual, right? What a great series this has been.
I know.
I've learned so much from you, and I do recommend reading the book, Why Women Aren't Winning at Health But Can. It's available on Amazon, and it really is informative. And as I felt when I was reading it, I kept shaking my head like, yep. I was learning a lot, and it affirmed a lot of my own personal beliefs about my own health. So thank you for that. We will be having a special offer for Quorum members to have access to some of the OM Health content online, and we'll be sending out a follow-up email blast with that information very soon. So Anca, thank you for joining us. If you want to, if people want to get more information, where should they go, Anca?
So I'll also share my email with you, and you can send it.
Great.
They should go to omhealthhub.com. But I would be really interested, because you said at the beginning that you are supporting women in the workplace to progress, and if there's anybody that's interested in employee health and that how they can support their employee, females and males, in a way with their health that is meaningful and that's preventative and adapted, I would be more than happy to talk to them.
That's great. Okay. Well, have a great day, everyone. I'll see you next time on another edition of Quorum Live.